Well, good afternoon. This is 2:50 on the 19th, Monday, the 19th of August, 2019. It's applied differential equations class. We're supposed to have started at 2:30, but there's been students wandering around the halls trying to find classes. Some classes were canceled. Some classes were listed in rooms they couldn't meet in and various things. So I've been all over the building hauling students around, helping them find where they needed to be. Meanwhile, my students for this class are in line waiting to get re-registered because they had canceled the class, and now we opened it back again. And one of them had to go to work, and others have to go to pay and a variety of things like that. So here I am, and I'll get started on the class. Now, since the two people I know are going to, or I think are going to be showing up in just a few minutes, they've already heard the research paper instructions. They've heard my locator card. So I'm going to start with those two things for people who may not have been in the class who have added it. So I'm going to start with the research paper instructions. And just because the folks that I know are coming, or I think are coming later today, will have already heard this. So I'll try to go through this quickly. I don't do very many things quickly, but you get to choose your topic. Anything within the scope of the course, have anything to do with differential equations. It can be a person. We'll run into names of several people during the course. You can look through the book and see what some of those names might be ahead of time. It can be a theory, and there's a variety of theories given. A phenomenon that is explained through differential equations. And in the first chapter we do, especially section 1.3, we'll look at several phenomena that are measured using differential equations. You can go and look that and see if there's anything there that you would find interesting. An application that's pretty close to phenomena as well. Applications of how you would use differential equations in solving population problems, concentration problems, diffusion problems, whatever your interest may be, or whatever your major may be. Where would you use differential equations in that? Or any other such topic about which you have an interest. Now, I've added this one fairly recently. It can be an internet application or demonstration which you find is useful to the class. So let's say you've read the book and tried to work through what's there, and you find that less than satisfying, and then my explanations of the same stuff you find no more enlightening than the book was, but you go to a YouTube video somewhere, something you found on the internet that is talking about this and makes it just much clearer, crystal clear maybe, and you say, why not? Why didn't they say that? Okay. Then you can write on that. For instance, what was it that was fuzzy or uncertain or confusing about what we were saying, the book and me, or you can start off that way. Then where else you went to look, and how you found that also less than instructive. But then what is it you liked about what you found? What is it that made the light go on? What is it that made it make sense suddenly? Okay, if you can figure that out. And then maybe you think, wow, I wish I'd have gone a step further and gone on to do this or that or whatever. So you can easily write a page or two on that kind of information. So it can be an internet application or demonstration which you found useful to the class. Now, what I'd like you to do in the first week or so is write your name on a piece of paper and a topic. Now, you can certainly go back and change the topics if you want to. If you find out the topic you put is either too broad, too narrow, or once you got to reading about it, you weren't very interested in it at all, and you want to change, you can do that, okay? But write your name and the topic on a piece of paper and return it to me sometime this week or early next week if you need to wait. Now, here's a couple of other things you can put on that piece of paper if you want to. This is not required. It has nothing to do with the research paper, but it's just that all you have on the piece of paper is your name and a paper topic. If you want to give me your very best phone number, you can. Because periodically, it doesn't happen very often anymore, but it does occasionally happen that a someone from the records office or some administrator or someone will come to me in a panic saying, hey, we got this important piece of information or warning or request or something for a student, and the name and the phone number in the system doesn't work. It's out of service or whatever. Do you have a better number for them? Because sometimes instructors do take this information the first of the term. So this gives me the opportunity to do that. I will not give it to another student. I will not give it to anyone other than a member of the staff of the college here who legitimately needs to know how to get in touch with you. Okay? So don't feel bad about that. So if that very best phone number you want to give me happens to be a cell number, and that cell number could possibly go bad, be changed, the power go out on your cell phone, it breaks down, it gets run over by a truck, you leave it at home, you leave it in the car, something happens, it gets stolen, whatever happens, if there's some reason why that number might not be able to reach you at a given time, if you want to give me a good backup number, you can do that. Now that might be Mama's landline or something like that, someplace that someone is going to know how to get in touch with you, even if your cell phone is no longer working. And if there's one other possibility that might happen, if you happen to work and at your job they don't want you using the cell number, a personal cell phone, but they will let you have, especially if it's an emergency, an incoming call at work. If you want to give us the work number, that's fine. Just indicate what the criteria are for this or whatever. You can give me no numbers, one number, two numbers, or three numbers. I can't think of any reason for more than three. If you can think of them, give me more. But yeah, that should just about cover everything. So you can or not write that on the same piece of paper, because I hang on to those pages until the end of the term, and then I usually will have them shredded. Okay? So there's no chance of anyone else getting that information. All right, now let's get back to the paper itself, the research paper. You'll need it to find at least one, but two or more or better, outside sources for your paper. Now, what do I mean by outside sources? The source can be from any book, journal, newspaper, magazine, any kind of article that you could find anywhere in the library, either our library here or any library. Or, now this is a big or here, any legitimate source found on the internet. Now, be very careful about the internet because there's a lot of garbage out there. If you're not absolutely certain this is a legitimate source, you can run it by me and I will say, no, I don't think I've ever heard that anywhere else before, and I don't recognize anything about this. I don't see any documentation for it. I would find something else. Or, oh, sure, that's perfect. That's a very good, that is true information. You can certainly use that. Now, let's think about this, the textbook. The textbook has lots of great ideas in it for papers. Like I said, section 1.3, fantastic source of ideas for your paper. Many other places. There'll be little blurbs every now and then focusing on some person, some theory, or whatever. Those can be great ideas for the paper. It's just this source, this textbook cannot be the source for the paper. It can be the source of the idea, but not the source for the paper. You would need to find a source that would have the information that you might start looking for based on what you found in the book. So it's not an outside source. One of the main reasons for this assignment is to get you out of the book and a little bit more into the real world, you know, where there's what has happened in the past, what's happening now, what may happen in the future. Okay. Your paper must be at least one word process page of text, double spaced in either 12 pitch or 12 point, whatever you want to call it, font. Okay. Now, one word process page of text, what that means is if you use some type of format that has a header at the top and several spaces skipped and then the title and then maybe triple space, and you finally start typing somewhere down the page, then one page of text will be to the bottom of that piece of paper from wherever you start, and then go to the top of the second piece of paper and go down until you pass where you started typing, not with the header, not with the title, but with your first paragraph. That's a page of text, okay? So it's going to be a minimum of 2 pieces of paper. It may be more than 2, but you won't get away with 1 piece of paper, okay? You can't fit 1 page of text on 1 piece of paper because you have all the other stuff at the top of the page. Okay, now, the reason I say 12 pitch or 12-point font, that's sort of standard. That's, I think, what these instructions are in if you're looking at these on YouTube or on the website. By the way, this course is not set up on Blackboard yet, okay? Until today, the course had been canceled, okay? And today, one student first said, I really need this to graduate. I need it this term. Another student said, I would love to have it this time because I need it to graduate as well. And another student said, if you're offering the course with them, I want to take it too because he may not be back next term. So so we reopened the course, and I've got one person for certain in it now. Another one, I think, was on his way to pay, and the third one, I just don't know where he is, but I imagine he's coming back. He left his glass in here, so I think he is going to be back. So because it was a canceled class before today, I don't have the syllabus ready. I don't have anything set up for the class, except, let me talk about this. I do record everything I say and everything that's projected on the board for every class I teach, okay? Now, what that means is the last time I taught this course, which I think was last spring, those recordings, the syllabus instructions, what I'm going over now, the resource paper that I'm doing right now, the locator card, everything about the course, syllabus and everything else is recorded on that in the YouTube videos, that playlist. And every class we had, from section 1.1 through however far we got, they're all out there on YouTube videos on a playlist. Now, you can't access the playlist yet through Blackboard, but you will be able to as soon as I have time to set it up. I didn't have a chance because I just found out we're going to reopen the class today. I mean, literally between my last class and this class is when we reopened the class. So it's not set up, but as soon as it is, you can go to those YouTube videos and see anything that we've covered so far in the class, and also anything that we will be covering in the class. Now, let me just tell you, they load these YouTube videos from the bottom, okay, at the bottom. So all the things I did last term or in earlier terms, they're at the top of the playlist. And then as you go on down the playlist, when you see the place where it says syllabus, that's starting the next term. And usually I only have one of those in there because once I put the syllabus for this term, I delete the syllabus from the last term. So more than likely that'll be right at the bottom of the page, okay? And then Wednesday's class will be in the next place, okay? All right, so where were we on this? We were talking about one page of text, 12-point or a 12-pitch font. I don't want anything so small it strains my eyes to read. I don't want anything so big that a few words fill up a page. That won't work either. So try to keep it standard. The font you use, and by the way, that page of text, one word process page of text, I want it double spaced. I don't want it single spaced because it's hard to make comments there, make marks on it. And I don't want it triple spaced because then you're just filling up space without, producing the work. So double spaced is fine. In fact, that's what it has to be. The font you use is completely up to you as long as I can read it. I don't read hieroglyphics or Greek or Old English or Cyrillic or something like that. So don't mess around with anything fancy. Just use a good readable font. Times New Roman or most word processing packages default font. I happen to type this one that you're looking at now in Arial font. There's Courier. There's just a ton of really good readable fonts. Pick one, 12 pitch, 12 point, and go with that. All right, we finally got another student in. Okay. And I know Armstrong is the last name?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I got registered. I just got to pay it.
Okay.
But
it was Josh, right?
Yes, sir. I've also got to go to Jeff and
get paperwork.
Get my paperwork, my transient approval, which probably will be towards the end of the week, but when it's done, I assume that's how long it took.
Yeah, right.
The first class.
And if they're
registered.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll mark you as being here today, but my suggestion is go and come to class even if you're not officially in it yet.
Right? I can't miss something.
Yeah, and I'm recording it so you can always pick this up. Yeah. Okay.
I appreciate.
All right, glad to. Good to have you as a student.
It'd be nice. I mean, even though it's 3 people, I hate you don't get paid for it, but
I get paid.
I actually like it because now I can ask all the ridiculous questions I need.
You possibly want to.
Yes.
But that's good in every one of my classes, but it's a little easier to do when it's a smaller number. Yeah.
Yes, I've never
been in a class before.
No.
Yeah. Corey had to go on to work. That's why he's not here. And I think Bill is standing in line at the cashier's window.
Gosh, I hope not. I didn't see him.
Well, I saw him going down the hall that way toward the cashier's window. So he may be in line still. I would guess he'd come on up here as soon as he could. I guess he understood we were going to have it. What I was doing was just recording the thing in case any more people add, then I can just point them to this and say, this is what we did the first day. Most of this you would have heard before. The only part that would be new is the syllabus for this class as opposed to the one for the last class.
Yes,
so I started off with the research paper because I knew all 3 of you had already heard that. So any new people, they can listen to that. And then I'll probably do the locator card, which won't take long. And then I'll go into the new syllabus.
What was the first thing we were going to learn in Cal 3 so I can just go ahead and...
Okay, we didn't quite get there. Oh, well, it's quadrant surfaces.
Quadrant surfaces.
Quadrant surfaces.
I'm going to go ahead and start looking at it so I can get a...
And in our book there, it was section 11.6, but that probably will be different if you have a different text. But it's usually listed under that. And the chapter is usually a vector functions chapter or something like that. Different books have different names for it, but it's when I was in college, it's the first thing we did in Cal 1, and it was called analytic geometry then. So that may be another name to look for if you don't see quadrant surfaces. But basically,
you go ahead.
Yeah, well, this might be hard to spell, but they're talking about basically ellipsoids, as a 3-dimensional ellipse, basically. Hyperboloids, which is a 3-dimensional hyperbola. Paraboloids, and maybe cones. We will mention cones. And cylinders. Now, it's probably not what you think of as a cylinder. Your cup there is similar to a cylinder, but so is that. Any 3-dimensional following of a curve. That might be a sine curve in 3-dimensional representation. See, what you have there is a circle in 3 dimensions. Right, yeah.
Different
Yeah.
formula for it, but it's still a cylinder.
It's still a cylinder. And it doesn't have to be a closed cylinder like that is. It doesn't have to be a terminal cylinder. It can go on infinitely. So we'll just talk about those quadrant surfaces. It's 3-dimensional surfaces.
That's interesting.
Huh?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is, sort of. And what I'll do is go back and talk about what makes an ellipse, a circle, and various things, and then how these are broadened into being, how the formulas are related to what these surfaces we're talking about. So that's where we began here. In this book, and by the way, this book is ZIL. It's also a Cengage book, so if you're on Cengage for that same $119, you can get access to this one as well. And if you want WebAssign for it, I can get that as well.
Okay.
And so probably won't be ready Wednesday, but I'll move as fast as I can.
And for the differential equations class, is there anything I should look at before I go ahead and start that? Does it kind of go side by side, sort of?
No, it doesn't pair up well with the other. But in your text, in your calculus text, I bet you there was a chapter that said differential equations.
Yes.
Okay, and the one in our text we just had was only like 3 sections. Not a bad thing to look at that, because that'll introduce you to several of the concepts that we'll be hitting in here. This will go into a lot more detail than that will, but at least you'll get a feel for what they mean by differential.
I just want to get a decent little base of what we're doing, so I'm not.
Yeah. And what kind of engineering are you?
Mechanical.
Mechanical, good. Yeah, that's good general engineering. You can go just about anywhere with that.
My brother's is in material. He's right now applying to. Well, he's about to apply for the PhD
Where is that?
Wherever they want to ship him. He's applying for UC Berkeley, somewhere in Chicago.
We had a good friend who did his undergraduate materials engineering at UAB. He actually did a combined program at Birmingham Southern his first couple of years, and then UAB finished up there because they didn't have engineering at Birmingham Southern. But he got the degree there and then went to Southern Miss and did his PhD there. And he's now working for General Electric or someone out there like that, and they're doing a lot of it. They won't tell you what they're doing, but it's something like coming up with materials that they would use, say, for building aircraft that's as strong as aluminum, but lighter, or
and cheaper.
And cheaper, yeah. And doing a lot of I want to say organics. That's not the name they use for it, but they are carbon-based, things. So it is a wide open field. A lot of possibilities.
We're always going to need newer, better.
Absolutely, stronger.
Even if it's already made.
Right. Yeah. And applications of it, but mechanical, that's a good general thing. My older brother's roommate for most of his time at Georgia Tech, at least his last 3 years, at least 2, maybe 3, was a mechanical engineer, and he worked at Frito-Lay and just a variety of companies, and he actually got into management somewhere along the way too. They're always looking for engineers, and mechanical is the most general. So
if there's an engineer there of any other type, there's going to be a mechanical somewhere in the
mix. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And my father-in-law, he's got a PhD in biomedical.
Oh wow, engineering or just biomedical?
Biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't really use it anymore.
Right.
But he works for his company, Perkin Elmer. And they do. Well, what he does there is when you have a baby, now they prick the bottom of their feet,
right,
or their heel, and it goes off to a state lab to be tested, or they need to freeze an umbilical cord.
Right.
He's the guy that does all that, and does the testing on the machines.
Right.
A lot of mass specs and everything.
Right. My wife works at UAB, and she's a researcher in epidemiology, and she studies diseases, infectious diseases, and they deal with newborns who are born with a virus called cytomegalovirus, which is a herpes virus, and they do cord blood. So, I bet you they use some of his machines.
I'm sure, yeah.
And they also use blood spots to record if the child had I can't remember if the cord blood tells what the mother had or the child, or maybe both, whether they were positive or negative for CMV.
I don't know, but he said there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, especially even coming up, there will be even more. Like,
yeah.
If you ever need some stem cells, they'll grow it from that.
Yeah.
Very expensive to hold the cord in there.
Yeah. Yes. I think at UAB near where they were, they had just years worth of frozen stem cords. So I mean,
it's
stem
a wild.
cords.
It's like sci-fi.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Anyway, good major. Where are you thinking of going?
UAB.
UAB.
It's
Good.
closest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they do have a very good program.
They do. Yeah. Good deal. Well, it's good having you in classes, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm gonna run to Jeff State and see if I can get this solved.
Okay. Don't.
Go ahead and pay it, and then work on all the details later.
Yeah.
Just because I know you said something about needing it to go ahead and pay, needing it to be paid. Already.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah. I don't want to get it so you can't. It's hard for you to get your money back. So if they don't approve it, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know why they wouldn't.
I can't either.
I mean, good standing, they approved one class.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't worry about it. But if anything comes up and it starts to be, let me know and I'll go down and talk with them.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, glad to.
We'll see you.
All righty. Sorry about that discussion. I should have put the recording on pause, but I didn't know it was going to go on that long. Let's see. Where were we? I said it says here, try to keep the paper less than 2 pages in length. That's not because I'm going to count off points. I won't. If you get so interested and excited about your subject and you just want to keep writing and you keep finding good stuff to write, as long as it's a good paper, I'll enjoy reading it. You'll lose points if it's less than that 1 full page of text, but there's no penalty directly anyway for papers being longer than 2 pages. You don't get penalized for being longer than 2 pages. However, let me tell you this. I have been doing this for, I'm sure, well more than 15 years, taught every term during those 15 years, generally had anywhere from 5 to 8 classes each of those terms, and generally average probably 15 to 20 students. Had some classes like this one very small. Other classes quite large. Outgrew my class several times. The classroom had to go to bigger rooms. So wide variety of, so I've read a lot of papers. I can only think of maybe 2 or 3 times when this has happened that someone just decides to keep writing. And when I read it, I think they are sacrificing quantity for quality, and I don't want that, okay? They go on and on and on, but they're not very carefully written papers, not very well thought out or anything else. It just seems like they think if they write a long paper, it's going to impress me. It won't. Here's how I grade. When you turn in your paper to me, it's a 100-point paper. Then I start reading the paper, and as I run into errors and mistakes or other things, you start losing points. And the longer I read, if you keep making really bad errors and stuff, the more points you're going to lose. So actually, if it's a sorry paper, the longer it is, the more points you lose. So don't do a sorry paper. Do a good paper, and then I don't care how long it is. You're not going to be losing many points anyway if it's a good paper. So please don't try to substitute quantity for quality. If it's a good quality paper, be sure it's at least 1 page and as many pages more as you want to read. Right, I'll enjoy reading. Okay. You can use any standard format you want. Most English classes here and most schools teach MLA, which is Modern Language Association format. A lot of scientific organizations prefer APA format. That's American Psychological Association. They came up with an early format that was just really neat, clean. Everybody liked it and said, why reinvent the wheel? We're going to use theirs. But then, too, there's lots of formats out there. I've been a member of several professional organizations, and it seemed like that every one of them had a different format. May have been based on APA or something, but they tweaked it one way or another. My wife is a researcher at UAB. She happens to write for many different journals, and in the medical field, it seems like every one has its own format. And so she has computer programs that she tells it which journal it's going to, and it reformats it automatically for citations and stuff for that journal. That's a pretty neat thing to have, but you probably don't have that. But that does happen in reality. So choose your format, stick with it. For instance, if you start blocking your paragraphs like I block these, block them all. Don't suddenly start indenting or indenting at different spaces. There's no reason for that. There's also no reason to change fonts in the middle of a sentence or a paragraph. I've seen that. Not very often, but I've seen it. Be careful. Be consistent. That's the big deal. Spelling, grammar, sentence structure, other types of errors will cost you points. So use spell check. It's there on just about every word processing package. Grammar check is now on just about every word processing package. Good proofreading, that's a very important part of it, okay? Content also matters. If you make errors in the content, most of the time I'm going to have a cursory knowledge, if not a pretty thorough knowledge of most of what you would choose to write on. And if you've got some pretty serious content discrepancies, I'm probably going to catch them. So content also matters. Just a few really dumb examples. I've seen people at the first of a paper, say writing on some person, when they first introduce the person, they may put in parentheses the year of his birth, the year of his death. And then later on page 2 or 3, when they're talking about how the person died, they have them dying in a different year from what they had on page 1. Well, that's just not being consistent. You have some problem there somewhere, make sure you're consistent. Little bit stranger type of error that I've seen, and these are usually very rare, but I've seen someone write, say, on Pythagorean theorem, you probably wouldn't in this course, and state the theorem wrong. I mean, I'm going to pick up on that. I know Pythagorean theorem pretty well. So that would be a content error. I've seen in other cases, this is just simply I think a careless typo error. I've seen someone write, say, on someone like Isaac Newton. I'm just going to throw out a year here and say they said he did something in 1947 when I'm pretty sure it would have been 1497. They just transposed two numbers, but it didn't make any sense because he obviously wasn't alive in 1947. So I will pick up on those kind of inconsistencies, and you will lose points for them. Now, when is the paper due? Technically, not till the last day of class. Do I suggest you wait till the last day of class to turn it in? Absolutely not, okay? The sooner you get it in, the better in general, in several reasons, okay? For several reasons. Let me give you the one I mentioned here. At the end of the term, you're typically going to have more projects, quizzes, tests, presentations coming fast and furious right at the end of the term. And whatever classes you're taking, they're going to be piling up then, okay? Maybe other term projects or papers or things like that. You don't want to wait till then, okay? Another sort of practical thing. You have more time to work on it now than you will any time later in the term. Believe it or not, you don't have any quizzes or tests or projects in general due right away. So you're going to have more time now than you will later. Get started on it sooner rather than later. And here is just an observation of mine from several years. Like I said, how many years, how many classes, how many papers. And just by every one of my classes, a paper is required. So I've read a lot. and this is the generalization, it's not always true, but usually the papers I get early in the term are some of my best papers. And then as the term wears on, they tend to, this isn't always true, tend to get a little bit worse as time goes on. Those I get at the end of the term typically are some of the worst papers I have because they waited till the end, rushed through the process, didn't use spell check, didn't use grammar check, didn't use good proofreading, turned in really sloppy work. Now, I've had some real dogs at the beginning of a term, and I've had some great papers coming at the end. So it's not always true, but the general trend is downhill. So get started early, and try to get the paper turned in early. Okay, here is the stick. Okay, if you turn in your paper after that last day of class, now that doesn't mean the last day of finals, that means the last day of class. The last day we meet as a class and go over new material, that's the last day that I will accept the paper without your losing points. Okay, so if you turn it in after that last day of class, you will start losing points. Okay, that's the stick. Here's the carrot. If you turn in the paper during the month of, now this that you got on your screen says May because this is from last summer, but now this is fall term. If you turn it in this month, the month of August, you will get 4 bonus points. Whatever score you get after I've read your paper and subtracted off your error points and stuff, whatever you come up with, I'll add 4 points of that, and that's your score. If you turn it in the month of September, you get 3 bonus points. If you turn it in the month of October, you get 2 bonus points, and the month of November, you get 1, and only 1 bonus point. If you turn it in the month of December, and you only have like a week or so in December before we get into finals, you just get your score, okay? If you turn it in after that last day of class, you start losing points. So please get your papers submitted sooner rather than later. All right. Here's one thing that I require that I don't know of any other instructor that does. When you submit your paper, please attach a single page from one of your sources. Or if you're writing on a computer application, YouTube video, something like that, that you can't print a page from, then just a link for that computer application will do. Okay, so if you've got a source from the library, go over to the copy machine, copy me a single page from that source. If it's a source off the internet, then print me a single page from one of your sources, not all your sources, just one. All right, if you have any questions or need further clarification, please contact me sooner rather than later. All right, that's the research paper. I'm going to clear that out of the way. Now, what I'm going to go to next is the locator card. I'll try to do this more quickly than the last one because, again, this is not for fall. This is for last summer. So you just see basically what's here. My name's the same. My phone number and the Bessemer campus is the same. My email address is the same. And I'm in the math department. Also natural sciences, but mostly math. Okay? For this course, it's math. On Monday, well, Monday through Friday, I'm usually in the office, hopefully before 4, or before 8, or as close to 8 as I can possibly be there. Usually before 8. And on every morning, got from 8 to 8:30, I'll be in the office for office hours. But on Mondays and Wednesdays, actually that's 8 to 10, because my 8:30 class that I was scheduled for, one of my other instructors needed it, and so I gave it to her, and now I'm in the office from 8 to 10. So ignore that Math 125, that was from last summer, and so 8 to 10 office hours on Monday and Wednesday. Okay, let's move on down Monday 4 ways. 10 o'clock until 11:40, I'm in Calculus 1, and then I believe it's 11 think it's 11:15 until 1:55, I'm in Calculus 3. Okay, the first class was Calculus 2, and then the next one was Calculus 3. Okay, and that one I think is 11:15 until 1:55. That's an hour and 40 minutes. That's on Monday and Wednesday. Then I have a little bit of a break. It's not very long, from 1:55 until this class starts at 2:30. Okay, so from 11:55 till 2:30, I have another, just a little over, it's a 35-minute break. So I'm up in the classroom for part of that time, either winding down the first two classes or winding up this class. Okay, so I'm not necessarily in the office that whole time. Probably almost as much time here in the classroom as I am in the office. Okay. Then, after this class is over with at 3:45, on Mondays, I'm in the office again from sometime after 3:45 until close to 6 o'clock. I'll usually put on my syllabus 6 o'clock. Okay? Now, what you see here has me lunch at 5:30. That's not happening now. I'll probably eat my lunch after this class is over with at 3:45. So, but I'm doing that in my office just about every day, so you can come by and see me then. It's still office hours. Now, that's true for Monday, not for Wednesday. I'll talk about the difference of that in a minute. Let's first do Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday, I'm in the office from 8 till 8:30, just like it shows on this, but at 8:30, I've got a Math 112 class, pre-calculus algebra, that goes until 9:45, 8:30 to 9:45. Okay, at 9:45, then I'm free and I get back to the office. At 11 o'clock, I'm in the office until 11 o'clock. 9:45, no, take that back, 11:30. I was trying to think what the times are. Yeah, 11:30. 11:30, I've got my linear algebra class. Now, that's a very small class. I'm not absolutely certain it's going to run, but they've left it so far, so I assume it will run if the students need it to graduate, like this class. So that's from 11:30 until 12:45. Then I've got another half hour. That's probably when I'm going to try to cram down lunch as much as possible, because then I'm in class from 1:15 until 5:45. Okay, 1:15 to 5:45. It's a mini-term class, so the class goes an hour, 2 hours and 30 minutes, and then one lab goes another 2 hours. So from 1:15 until 5:45. Okay, and then I'm basically shutting down my lab, shutting down the class, and trying to get out of here by 6 o'clock. So not many office hours on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, only a little bit in the morning from 9:45 until 11:30. That's it. Okay, and now that I think about it, that's probably when I'm going to eat my lunch, from 10:30 to 11:30, or 11 to 11:30, something like that. Or maybe I'll eat part of it then and part of it in between the next two. Okay, but that's Tuesday and Thursday. Now, Wednesday starts off just like Monday. Office hours from 8 until 10. Calculus 2 from 10 until 11:40. A little bit of a break from 11:40 until 12:15. And then Calculus 3 from 12:15 to 1:55, and then this class, a little bit of a break. For 2:30, the break from 1:55 until 2:30, so a little more than 35 minutes, okay? But most of the time I'll be in the classroom, not in the office. And then after, After 3:45, I'll be okay. This is where the difference is on Wednesday. Yeah, go on, sit down. Okay. On Wednesday, on Monday, 3:45 until 6 were office hours. On Wednesday, I have to leave shortly after 3:45 to go over to the Birmingham East Campus to teach a physics class. So that's the difference on Wednesday. I have a physics class that goes 4:30 to 6:30 on Wednesday afternoon. Okay. So Thursday, just like Tuesday, I already gave you those. Fridays, I'm on the Birmingham West Campus, and I'm there from 8 in the morning, usually there a little before 8, until usually a little after 12. And this says May and August only, but that was for summer, all term long, 8 to 12 on Fridays. Now, no classes, but here's the deal. They love calling meetings on Fridays. So I may be in a meeting, so it's not guaranteed just because it says office hours that I won't be in a meeting somewhere. Now, I list the lunch as from 11 till 12 just because they have a list of lunch, but the likelihood I'm usually just take a snack on Fridays because I'm off at noon or sometime afternoon, and usually I go on home and can pick up something else to eat, but usually just a snack on Fridays. Not always starting at 11, whenever I can fit it in. All right, that's my locator card, and that's it for today. And then the syllabus. I had hoped there would be a student in here from the class, but one had to go to work, one had to go to Jeff State to get paperwork done. The other one, last time I saw him, was in line down at the cashier's window. I don't know if he's still in line or not. But let's go over the syllabus, and hopefully we'll make this fairly quick. It is Math 238, Applied Differential Equations 1. That's the only one we teach, so I don't know why there's a 1 behind it. It's a 3-credit-hour course, so it's not as long as the calculus was. And it's Tuesday, Thursday, and the times for this are 2:30 until 3:45. So this says 8:30 to 10:45. That was for last spring, I think it was. Okay, so it's 2:30. No, I'm sorry, this was a summer class. Okay, ours is Monday, Wednesday, 2:30 to 3:45. The room's the same, the buildings, the campus is the same, Bessemer campus. The room and building and room is A building, room 255. My contact information is, my office on the Bessemer campus is A265. I'll show you where that is if you are new to the campus here. The office phone is 929-3449. However, let me tell you this. I'm not certain if my voicemail is working properly. Sometimes I can get it, sometimes I can't. I can't tell if I missed something because you can't tell what's not there or never been there. And so it's a good idea not to leave me a message. Sorry about that, but it's just, I'm way behind in it, and I don't know. It's a pretty weak system, and I don't know. I'm not even sure you can leave a message. It may say the mailbox is full or something like that. So don't leave me a message. Here's my suggestion. Call me only during office hours. I'll go over what those are in just a minute. I did on the locator card. But call me only during office hours. If I'm not in, just hang up the phone, call back a few minutes later. I may have just gone down the hall to the restroom, to get a drink of water, to take care of business somewhere else. Wait a few minutes, call me back. At some point during office hours, I'll be back in the office. Now, if it's right before class, there's a good chance I've already gone to class and I'm setting up the classroom, so I won't be there, not until after class, so wait until the office hours after my class. Okay. Now, on the Birmingham campus, the number you see listed here is 6377. That's my boss's secretary or administrative assistant's number. And my office on Fridays is right behind her desk in the copy room. So she can always yell back if I'm there. If I'm not there, she can take a message and I'll be able to pick it up when she gets back from class or wherever she had to go to. All right. Just making sure. Okay. The second number that I don't have listed here, and the reason I don't have it listed was at the end of spring term last spring, the phone in the office where I usually am was not working. So in the summer, I put the secretary's phone number down there. However, last Friday, I was on the Birmingham campus, and the phone was working. But I'm still hesitating to put the number down because I don't know if they just fixed the phone or if they changed the lines. If they changed lines, it may be a new number. If they fix the phone, it may be the old number. So here is the old number. It's 929-6409. Okay, and again, I do not know if that still goes through to that phone or if that phone is an older number from someone else that they moved to that number. I just don't know. My email address is the same, cfowler@lawsonstate.edu. You can always email me. Now, at some points in the term, I get pretty far behind in emails. For instance, coming up fairly soon, we're going to have to do contracts, okay? I will be probably working on contracts for several days with hardly any time to look at emails. Later this term, we will be working on spring term. That is a bigger chunk of effort that is going to be difficult to have time to check email. Check emails, yeah. Sometime later in the term, I was trying to think of one of the next ones. At some point in the term, we do book orders, and at book order time, usually there's several days I can't do very much. So there will be periodic times in the term where I'll get probably days behind in emails. So don't panic. I'll try to get back to them as possible. If you see me before I see it, let me know you sent me an email, or just we'll discuss whatever it was. Okay. Now, office hours. This is a big change here because this was last summer. And I went over these before, but just to get them current here. On Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 to 10. Not 8 to 8:30, 8 to 10. Okay? On Mondays, the next big chunk is because we're adding this course that goes till 3:45 till 6. Okay, there's other little bits of office hours in there, but those are the big ones. 8 to 10 Monday morning, 3:45 to 6 Monday afternoon. Tuesdays and Thursdays, fewer office hours. One chunk is, in fact, about the only chunk is 9:45 until 11:30, I believe it is. I believe that's right, because your classes start 8:30 to 9:45. 10 until 11:15, 11:30 to 12:45. Yeah. So basically that 9:45 until 11:30. Those are the only decent chunk of office hours I have on Tuesdays or Thursdays, because I teach until the end. Now, when we start second mini term, I may have a bigger gap there than what I just indicated, especially after the linear algebra, if that class does make, until the beginning of my physical science class. But we'll wait until second mini term to talk about that. Now, Wednesdays differ from Monday, not at the beginning of the day. 8 to 10 is still the same. But then after that, almost no office hours. because what I had on Monday, 3:45 until 6, I'll be heading to the Birmingham East Campus sometime shortly after 3:45 to get there by 4:30 to start a class at 4:30 that goes until 6:30, and then as soon as I can get away, I'm leaving the Birmingham East Campus. Thursdays was the same as Tuesdays, and then Fridays, as listed here, 8 to 12 on the Birmingham campus. Okay, let's talk about course description. This is not something that I came up with or anyone else here at the college did. It's something that was developed by a joint committee made up of the 2-year college system and the public 4-year college systems. Now notice here we are out of time. So if you'll remind me on Wednesday, we'll finish the syllabus and we'll start with the course description, because that is sort of important. And rather than going any extra time, I'm just going to turn it off here. Okay. So we'll start there on Wednesday.